Good morning, Knights. Today is April 10th, 2020. I'm Lauren Stapleton, and you're watching Knight TV. To start off the show, I'd like to say how amazed I am at how everyone, including the staff, the students, have adapted to this crazy way of learning. I know the transition may have been a little rough. It was for me because I'm definitely a procrastinator, but hopefully self-discipline will help us get through this. Now I know that there are so many questions about COVID and its background, so here's Bella Rodriguez with a detailed look into Corona.
On March 24th, Judge Chris Hill announced a week-long stay-at-home order for Collin County, deeming all businesses essential. All businesses, jobs, and workers are essential to the financial health and well-being of the local economy, according to Hill. Therefore, they are essential to the financial health and well-being of Collin County residents. However, this county-wide order has not been seen as enough by North Texans. McKinney and Frisco judges have both set stricter guidelines and orders for all non-essential businesses to close. 2 days after Judge Chris Hill's remarks, McKinney issued the order only declaring healthcare, government, infrastructure, and food retailers as essential business. On March 31st, Governor Abbott declared a strict order closing schools until May and closure of all non-needed businesses. Judge Hill has rescinded his comment claiming that all businesses are essential. McKinney Mayor George Fuller said that he couldn't be happier about Governor Abbott's declaration. He has taken away what has been an inability to have a regional approach. That is great for the state of Texas and all communities in the state. However, many Texans are wondering if this is enough. According to risk projections, shelter-in-place must be implemented in Texas by April 7th to prevent hospital overload. With only social distancing, Texas is looking at a 70% infection rate, with hospitals becoming overloaded by April 29th. With the current mortality rate, the projected amount of deaths will be 431,000. Currently, there are 30 million Texans. To put the amount of likely infections in perspective, 21 million individuals may be infected. Dr. Mike explains the risk.
Need to understand that it's not just about those over the age of 70. If we open the country back up too early, the risk isn't just to them. It's to all of us. Not only are 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 50-year-olds still going to get sick, some of them severely, there's still a death rate in those people, but it's going to happen so quickly that hospitals like my own, like the ones in New York City, are going to get overrun, and doctors are not going to be able to provide care not only to coronavirus patients, but to everyone.
As of March 31st, the amount of Texans positive for COVID-19 is 3,266 people. There have been 196 hospitalizations and 41 deaths. Many doctors have been urging the population to take more action and stay home, such as Texas-based Dr. Jones.
It's looking like about 30% of their cases have been in people who were relatively young, 20s and 30s, and a lot of those people had no symptoms but were able to share the virus with other people. What does this mean to us? Please practice social distancing. It may not seem important if you feel fine, but you should proceed as though you have the virus already and you don't want to give it to anyone. Social distancing means going to work if you have to, working from home if you can, minimizing any outside contact or any outside trips that aren't absolutely necessary. You need to go to the grocery store, you need to get gas in your car, that's fine. Try to minimize that, try to do it only when absolutely needed. This is the only way we are going to make this better.
In an opinion that many Texans mirror, Governor Abbott said Tuesday, "Social distancing is working. Now is the time to redouble our efforts." Despite the new declarations, many Texans remain in support of a stricter shelter-in-place mandate. I'm Bella Rodriguez with your North Texas COVID-19 update.
Thank you, Bella. It is so good to hear that social distancing is working, but it's scary to know that the number of cases in Texas has not even reached its peak. Now more than ever is the time that we need to practice social distancing more strictly. And I know it stinks that we can't see our friends or hang out with them, but trust me, this will all be over soon enough as long as we stay positive and practice social distancing. On another note, the NFL free agency is in full play. Here's Kevin Bhaskar, Shakar Pinham, and Vinny Vimilapalli with their thoughts.
Welcome everyone to It's Complicated. I'm Vinny Vimilapalli alongside Kevin Bhaskar and Shakar Pinham. How are we, guys?
Doing great. How are you?
Let's get the show on.
Well, let's get right into it. The NFL free agency has been a wild ride, to say the least, with many notable moves. One of the biggest moves is the four-time Pro Bowl receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, who was traded to the Arizona Cardinals. So I'll start with you, Kevin. What do you make of this?
Bill O'Brien needs to be fired. And I don't know what more you could say is that this guy was the Houston Texans offense, literally took 30% of Deshaun Watson's targets, and you just trade him away? He's an elite receiver. He is top 3 in the league, if not arguably 1. Like, trading away that for what? A 2nd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, and a person in David Johnson who hasn't been elite since 2015. Now, I don't know what was going around in Bill O'Brien's head when he traded away DeAndre Hopkins, but it's going to be a big mistake, and it's going to cost him in the future. I feel so sorry for those Texan fans who have to deal with this mediocrity from the head coach.
Well, I'll say this about it. I mean, when I saw that trade on my notifications, I checked the date to see if it was April 1st, and unfortunately it wasn't. So, but I'll say this about the Cardinals. They're getting what appears to be, in my opinion, the best receiver in all of football. And
True.
combine that with the ascending Kyler Murray and the ever-consistent Larry Fitzgerald, and I think you have a real sleeper team in the Arizona Cardinals next year.
Well, it seems like you both feel very strongly about that. But now let's move on to the Cowboys. The Cowboys placed an exclusive franchise tag on Prescott, while Amari Cooper, the star wideout, reportedly signed a 5-year, $100 million deal with the Cowboys. How do you feel about the Cowboys' offseason moves?
I think they did the right decision. I mean, at first, Dak Prescott was offered $30 million by Mr. Jones himself, and he refused that, and he wants to get paid like an elite lead quarterback, resetting the market. That's what he really wants. And do I think he's really worth that price? No, he is not. He has shown that he can show up in games, but he's also shown that he cannot show up in games. He's not exactly the person that I think should be worth that money. Meanwhile, for Amari Cooper, once he came from the Raiders, he was a stud and literally, I think, made Dak Prescott look as great as he was. So getting him paid, I think, was the right idea. And maybe waiting for Prescott to shine one more year, see what he's really got in his tank, was probably the good idea going forward for the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I think you should be convicted for making that conviction. It's utterly ridiculous what came out of your mouth just now. Dallas Cowboys, this season, good offseason? You know what? I'm not going to call for you to be replaced on It's Complicated. Not today. We'll do that another show. But Kevin Bhaskar, I know you know football. The market on how quarterbacks are paid is not based on how good they are compared to everybody else. If it was, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, your Russell Wilsons would be at the top. It's based on who's up next to reset the market. That's why you have Jared Goff and Carson Wentz at the top of the leaderboards in terms of who's getting paid. It's Dak Prescott's turn to get paid now. He's been consistent. He's shown he can put up the numbers. And for you to be so disrespectful towards that man who's shown nothing but hard work and diligence, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Let's just end the show, Vinny.
Oh, God.
Well, those were very interesting viewpoints from both of you, but that's all the time we have for this week's edition of It's Complicated. Thank you for watching, and tune in soon for more.
Thanks, Kevin, Shakar, and Vinny. Following the trades is definitely a great way to be spending all of this free time. Speaking of which, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at IHS9TV and show us what you've been up to during this quarantine to be featured in our next show. Well, that's all I have for you today, Knights. I'm Lauren Stapleton. Remember to keep it noble.